You are here near the Passière of Colias. Across the whole Mediterranean South, this type of structure appears under related names: passière, chaussée, resclose, paxeria. The word points to a very old technique. Stakes were driven into the riverbed, bound together with brushwood and fascines, then the whole reinforced with stones. This was not a dam in the modern sense. The goal was not to stop the water, but to constrain it just enough to send it into a bale, a feeder channel, leading to the mill wheels. As with the well-known mill of Saint-Thibéry on the Hérault, this passière had a remarkable feature. It linked two mills set facing each other, on opposite banks of the Gardon. On the right bank stood the Moulinasse, across the water, the Moulin des Machines. Between the two, the weir crossed the river like a kind of hyphen. It turned the Gardon not into an obstacle, but into the backbone of a small open-air industrial system, one that would evolve in the 19th century when marble was cut here and later electricity produced. What we see here at Colias belongs to a long southern French story. From the Middle Ages onward, abbeys, lords, village communities, and private individuals disputed or shared these water intakes. At Agnan, in the Hérault Valley, ancient texts already attest to the importance of such structures. A passière was never merely a construction of wood and stone. It was a right, an income, a source of revenue, and very often a source of conflict. For whoever controlled the water controlled part of the local economy. The miller needed a steady flow. The farmer wanted his grain ground. The fishermen feared disruption to the movement of fish. Along the Alzone, those who irrigated their fields and gardens demanded their share. The lord, for his part, often collected dues on the mill. At Colias, net fishing was forbidden both upstream and downstream of the mill, over a certain distance. Across the south, many lawsuits arose from these very concrete questions. Who had the right to raise the weir? Who was responsible for repairs after a flood? At Cuxac, at Canet, at Cesseras, or in the valleys of the Orbe and the Jour, the archives preserve the memory of these quarrels, where a few stones placed in a river could mobilize notaries, judges, experts, and entire communities. These conflicts are also explained by the fragility of the structure itself. A passière lived under the constant threat of water. In summer, the river might run dry. The mill would stop, the millstones fall silent, the villagers would wait. But after the rains, everything could turn. The rivers of the Cevennes and the Mediterranean South could swell violently within hours. The Gardon, the Vidul, the Orbe, the Tech, or the Tete could shift in a matter of hours from a mere trickle to a raging torrent. In the Vidurle Valley, the famous Vidurlades have often served as a reminder of this violence. This is why river mills sometimes resemble small fortresses. They were given thick walls, reinforced corners, buttresses, and sometimes a prow turned toward the current, like the bow of a ship, to cut through the flow. At La Baume, a little upstream, there stands a sunken mill shaped like a fish swimming up the river. At Colias, this same logic is clearly visible. Certain anecdotes lend these structures a strikingly picturesque quality. At Vallohaugue, for instance, the memory of old mills has survived even in local place names. In the Gorge de la Véronque, in Provence, the Barrage des Étangs recalls these bold hydraulic systems, adapted to valleys that run dry for part of the year, yet can turn into raging torrents. Here, too, the technical ingenuity lay in capturing a resource that was scarce, intermittent, and at times violent, and putting it to use without ever fully mastering it. When water was scarce, people waited for the reservoir to fill before grinding for a few hours, then began the cycle again. Much has happened on the Alzone at Colias, near its mouth, where a dispute once arose between two mill owners, one of whose mills has since disappeared entirely. The passière of Colias thus belongs to this great southern French family of structures. It speaks to us of economy, of law, of technique, but also of balance. It shows how societies of the past knew how to draw on a river's strength without the means we have today. Here, the energy came from neither coal, nor electricity, nor oil. It came from a fragile pact struck with the Gardon.